I don't follow any religion or any faiths. It never piqued my interest like that, really. I don't see how it could change my life. I don't know. Hopefully I'm not going to hell. Hopefully I'm all right. But surely God would understand people's desires. I'd say pornography is an example. Is just like for a lot of people, it's just a normal human desire, I guess. I don't think God's done a lot for me, but I've never met him, never spoke to him. Well, you never know, I might go pick up a Bible tomorrow, mate.
Please do.
It changes a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
You never know, it might change mine one day.
Absolutely. In this conversation, I speak to a young skateboarder who didn't know too much about Christianity, just had a general sense of right and wrong, but ultimately I think it would be fair to say that he showed some interest in being willing to open himself up to God. I think he was maybe a little bit scared and afraid of what that might mean, and going to church and giving up certain things, and yet I encouraged him to look at it as a relationship, to look at God as a judge who cares about what we do, right and wrong, but who has done something wonderful for us, who's given his life for us to show us how much he loves us and how much he wants us in right relationship with him. So I do pray that he takes the time that he said he would to look at the Gospel of John. Hopefully that also leads him to prayer and to a deeper relationship with the Almighty. So anyway, let me know what you thought. See you in the next video. God bless. Do you have any faith, any belief, any religion?
I don't follow any religion or any faiths. I wasn't really brought up in a religious family or anything like that. I've never really had any religious friends. I've never really been never really like delved into it a lot, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Never been to church or anything like that. I haven't really been educated a lot on it, if you get what I mean. Obviously I took religious studies in school and all that, but I've never, you get what I mean, never kind of trying to find the words.
Yeah, never was something that really kind of piqued
never
your interest.
That's it. Never piqued my interest like that, really. I mean, if there's a God out there, then there's a God out there. But I've never really prayed or anything like that.
Yeah. But what do you think about that? Like, is there a God out there? What do you think?
I don't know, mate. I couldn't answer it. There might be. There might not be.
Yeah.
If there is, well then, it's just the same as every other day, innit, mate? My life isn't changing. I don't see how it could change my life. I don't know. I mean, it changes a lot of people's lives. It brings them happiness and, I don't know, absolution, I guess. Gives them a sort of say a meaning to life.
Yeah. But here's how it could change your life. Like if God is a God of justice, right, and a judge who will judge us for what we've done throughout our lives, right, the sort of sin, whether we've committed it or not. Like, what do you think? Would that not change? Would you be concerned, like, what's going to happen to you after you die? Whether you're going to go heaven or hell?
Well, I don't really think it should concern anyone. I mean, obviously, treat people how you want to be treated, treat people with respect, and live your life how you want to live it. But I don't think you really should be worried about what's going to happen after you die. I mean, you need to live your life. I mean, you only get one life.
Yeah.
So live it to the fullest, I guess. Live every day like it's your last.
Well, so what do you think is going to happen to you after you die? Like, let's say there's a God and he's going to bring you before the court, his court, right, after you die. Cool. And what do you think what's gonna happen to you?
I don't know, mate. Hopefully I'm not going to hell. Hopefully I'm all right. But I don't know. I mean, I try and live my life. I put myself in the other man's shoes. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I try and treat people how I would want to be treated. So hopefully I'll be all right.
So would you say you're a good person?
I wouldn't say I wouldn't want to put a label on myself like that, but I try to be.
Yeah. Try to do, as you said, treat others as you would wish to be treated. But what about your inner sort of thoughts, your inner life, your thoughts, your so for example, have you looked at a woman with lust?
With lust.
Yes.
Explain, like what? Any
So you
woman
look,
on the
yeah,
street?
well, that's
or
right, that's
just-
right. Yeah, someone who's not your, someone you don't have a relationship with, and you would kind of wish.
I don't exactly look at women and have dirty thoughts, but I mean, you see a beautiful woman walking down the street, you think, oh, she's good looking, but I don't see how that's sinful in any way. To be honest, I don't really follow the Bible or any of that, so it could be.
Right.
But yeah, it's that's a bit of a tricky one, really. Lust, like no, I wouldn't say I lust when I look at random women in the street.
Yeah, or like even the world, like pornography, right? When's the last time you looked at that?
Oh, mate, that's a bit of a personal question for a guy that I've just met.
Yeah.
He's got a camera in my face.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, don't feel like you need to answer. But I guess what I'm trying to get to is that there's things about not just the way we treat others like outwardly, but there's like things that are happening inside of our souls, inside of our minds, right? That I think if there is a God, right, he would look at that, he would know that.
Oh,
right?
yeah, of course.
He would know
if
about
there was
that,
a God,
right?
but
yeah.
surely God would understand people's desires and wants, as long as they're not really bad desires, as long as normal human desires.
Well, this is the thing, right? We say it's normal just because we tend to do those things, right? But it's not normal as in we don't have to, because usually the things like by the way, I'm not any holier than thou, right? It's the same true as for me, right? But I find that thinking about things tends me to do those things, right? So I don't know. You set your mind on, okay, I have to have something, whatever that thing is, and I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to get there, right? And that could include lying, that could include cheating, stealing. All those things are there just because I need to get something done, right? So I think that's the kind of the birth of sin. When I think of myself, I need to do something at whatever cost, right? That's what kind of leads me to actually engage in things that I'm ultimately, sinner. I don't have to do those things, and yet I do those things, right? And I think, personally speaking, I think that does put me on the negative side, right? If God has a good book, right, and the bad book, that certainly puts me in his bad book.
If you're doing it for bad reasons, I guess, like if you're achieving your goal through bad things like cheating and stealing, then I'd consider that sinful, the wrong way to go about things. But I'd say pornography, as an example, is just like for a lot of people, it's just a normal human desire, I guess. I mean, cheating, stealing, all that, obviously they're just what you'd call plain sins, I guess. But I think there's a line, there's a bit of a tricky line. It depends who you are, what you believe in, to what's good and bad. I mean, it's all subjective, I guess. Because good and bad to one person could be the complete opposite to another. So it's kind of hard to say. I mean, people, I guess, just live your life how it's right for you. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what's good and what's bad, and hopefully if there is a God out there, I am making the right choices and I am doing what is good. But
this is the thing, how do we know, right? Because some things are a little bit gray, right? And you say you can find justification for something you would do, and how do you know that God would smile upon that he would approve of that versus not? Like, how do you know unless you know him?
Well, I guess no
unless
one does.
you know him.
I mean, how can I smoke this cigarette right here?
Right,
I mean,
right.
Surely God wouldn't like that. I mean, I'm killing myself smoking this cigarette, but millions of people do it. I mean, I wouldn't say it's harming anyone else. I mean, it could be. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But how do you know that's not a sin? I mean, does it say it in the Bible? I don't know.
Well, it doesn't say about, from what I understand, doesn't say about smoking, but you're right, you hit upon a nail on the head, right? If you're sort of harming yourself and you know that there's a way to do things, like if you don't have to do this, and you're not harming yourself, that would be a better way. Be a way in which you honor, like, the God. Your life is not your own. You were given it, right? You didn't decide to be born. You're here. You have health. You have reason. You have strength. And you're young, and there's a sense in which your life has a purpose, right? And you should bring your potential for your purpose to fruition. That's what God would want from you, right? And the things that we engage with that are negative, like maybe it's the smoking, but this could be probably much worse things, that you could be doing drugs and other things, right? That would certainly be against that will, right? You would not be bringing potential into your life that God created you for, right? So that could be seen as negative, even could be considered as sin. Yeah. But okay, so I think we both agree that correct me if I'm wrong, we do things that we're not proud of.
Yeah, everyone does stuff they're not proud of. I mean, I don't think I've ever met anyone that doesn't have any regrets in life. Nothing they've done that they didn't think, oh, shouldn't have done that. But I mean, that's just life, isn't it? You live and you learn, I guess.
Yeah.
You live and you learn. You get older, you grow.
Yeah.
And you become a better person, hopefully. That's the plan anyway.
That's the plan anyway, yeah. So going back to that idea of heaven and hell, who do you think goes to hell then?
It's a very tricky question. I mean, I wouldn't know what would send you to hell. Obviously, murderers, but that's a tricky question as well. I mean, is there any sort of justification for murder? Could there be a circumstance where murder is justified? Say Hitler, for example. Would you murder Hitler or would you throw him in prison? It's very hard to say.
Well, murder, let's say murder is like, there's different, killing is different from murder, right? Killing, yes, there's a justified, wars are killing, there's a killing for justice, right? You sentence someone to death, that's killing.
Exactly, like a judge, would you say?
A murder, right? A murder is like first degree, right? You intend on harming someone to the extent of taking their life, right? You're taking justice into your own hands.
For dishonorable reason.
That would be, for dishonorable reason, whatever you think might be right. So that would be, you're saying that would be an example of someone who could go to hell.
That could be to go. Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously, rape, paedophilia, things like these I would say though they're all straight to hell. But I don't know. I guess there's millions of things that can send you to hell. I couldn't really start naming them all off. But
yeah.
I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, what would send you to heaven? Or do you have to be a good person and not do these things, or do you have to do something exceptional to get into heaven?
Well, that's a good question. That was going to be my next question actually too. Who do you think goes to heaven?
Exactly, it's the same as well. I mean, I think everyone's always thought, oh, if you do good in life, you don't sin, then you go to heaven. But why can't it be? You have to do something exceptional. Like, you have to be the best person. You have to help thousands of people to go to heaven. Maybe it's one of those exclusive things, only for the best of the best.
Yeah. Well, do you know what Bible says about who goes to heaven?
Go on.
Just perfect people, just perfection, just perfection. People who have never sinned, never done a single wrong thing in their lives.
Okay.
And never did any small thing, never told a small lie, never stolen anything, never wished even in your mind ill upon someone, never looked at a woman with lust, never coveted, honored their parents, honoring God and everything like that. Perfect person goes to heaven. How many people do you think are in heaven?
I wouldn't know.
Based on that criteria.
I don't know, to be honest. I imagine there's
not many.
Not many. I mean, I'd hope there's quite a few. It'd give me quite a bit of hope if there's people that good in the world that haven't sinned ever.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I know many people that have never done any of those things.
No, I don't know a single person. You know what's striking even more, like, I don't know if you know this from the Bible, even Jesus was saying that there's no one righteous, not even a single one. No one is deserving of heaven.
Even Adam and Eve ate the apples, so...
Well, that's right. They were the first ones that did the wrong thing. Yeah. So...
they were the first ever humans, so I guess...
It starts from there, right? They are our fathers, right? They're like father, like son. Like if they are like that, then we certainly are not any better than they've started to be, right? That's the whole problem, right? That's what Bible describes as the basic problem of humanity. All of us are disposed to do stuff like that. Right?
I don't think anyone's ever going to be perfect.
You're right. No one is going to be. So the question is, how can anyone go to heaven then? If we start on a bad note, and then it gets worse.
I mean, I think it just goes back to what I said at the start. You don't worry about what's going to happen after you die. You just try to make a difference now while you're still here.
Right.
Try and be a good person now, instead of worrying about everything that's going to happen when you're not here.
Yeah. Well, I think that, well, certainly I think that's a good thing, right? No one's going to stop you. Certainly God is not going to stop you saying, look, you should do good. You should do good. You should change your ways. You should do the things that you're supposed to be doing. But if God is a judge, again, going back to that judge analogy, how about this, right? If you were, let's say you got caught by a real judge and you go to the court and you say, and let's say it's a speeding fine or something like that, right? You got caught for speeding and the judge says, okay, well, that's going to be £100 and can you please pay? And you say, how about this, judge? What if I just never speed again, right? What if I just obey laws from now on?
Right.
What if I never do something wrong? I think the judge would say, look, that's great. That's a great intention. You should never have sped to begin with, and you should never speed again. But you had done that in the past. And so the fine is the fine, £100. Would he not be a righteous judge? Would he not be a right judge to demand the payment for the crime?
Well, I guess, if justice is what you're
Justice,
about, then you do the crime, you pay the fine in this instance. But I mean, I guess it's a bit different with heaven. I mean, you get a speeding ticket and then you're not allowed in heaven. But
well, that's the thing. Okay, now so the religion and Christianity in particular would be a pretty bad news, right? If it stayed there, if it stayed in this situation, right? We've established now that you, me, everyone in this world doesn't really deserve heaven because the bar of entry is so high. Perfection, no one's perfect. Everyone's done something we're not proud of and continue to do so. And yes, we can continue to set our minds to do the right thing, but we know we're not going to be perfect even in the future if we're not kidding ourselves, right? What is the good news, right? So religion people wouldn't be putting their faith in something if there wasn't some good news, some hope.
I guess religion gives a lot of people hope. I mean, it does. It gives a lot of people not something to live for, but something to live their life by. I guess the rules of the Bible, I haven't really read it, but I know is treat your fellow man, treat thy neighbour with respect or whatever they are. And they're good rules to live by. I mean, I'm not a Christian or religious myself, but most Christians and religious people I have met have been lovely, wonderful people who've treated me with respect, and everyone else they've met with respect. So, I mean, I see why religion is a good thing, but I can also see it being a very bad thing and having a bad influence on people who, like you said earlier, will go to any length to get what they want, get their goal, which I guess is going to heaven. People will do horrible, crazy things just for that chance to get to heaven.
You're right. Yeah, people have done something horrible things in the name of religion.
In the name of God, in the name of God, getting to heaven. But it's a bit of a tricky subject, really. I mean,
it is. But what I'm beginning to is like, what do you think God? What did God do for guilty sinners like you and me to purchase or to secure a way for us to go into heaven?
What has God done for us?
What has God done for us? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think God's done a lot for me, but I've never met him, never spoke to him.
Yeah.
I've never really been religious, like I said.
Yeah.
So I would not know. I reckon God's done a lot of things for a lot of people in the form of hope, in the form of happiness, in the form of community. It's not just the book, and obviously church, going to church every Sunday, meet like-minded people. It forms a community, very tight-knit communities, brings friends together. So I guess God does make people happy. God brings people together in a lot of circumstances, makes people a lot happier, even though he's not here doing things physically for people. He is there and bringing people together. So I guess that's what you could say is done for people.
Okay, but interestingly, right, he did something like actually physically, historically, he did something like Jesus.
Oh yeah, Jesus Christ.
So what did he do? What did he do? What did he just explain?
Well, from what I know, Jesus sacrificed himself. Well, didn't sacrifice himself. He died on the cross. From the Romans. And came back to life or something like that. Honestly, you're asking the wrong person. I'm not really. I've never read the Bible at all, mate.
No, but this is interesting, right? Because that's where I'm kind of trying to get to. Is like that is actually a lot of people know about that story, right? Jesus came and Jesus said he died on the cross. He was crucified and then he rose on the third day, right? But what a lot of people don't realize is this, right? About that is the difference, right? From personally, for each person, right? For each human being, but historically, it makes a big difference, and legally makes difference about that very question about heaven and hell, right? So, let me just 1 minute, right? So, what my understanding is that, so Jesus died for our sins, right? For the sins of the world, because there is a sense in which God said, the wages, what we all deserve from sin is death. That's ultimately what is due to us. It's a death sentence.
Yeah,
right?
every life comes with
That's
a
the sentence, death sentence, right? But Jesus came to basically offer his life instead of ours.
Okay.
Right? So his death on the cross is a substitution. Like if you imagine who should have been on that cross, like really, or who should have deserved death is you and me, but he steps in, he takes it upon himself, right? The idea is that he
dies for our
he dies for our sins, right? And therefore the payment, that judge, the justice is served, payment is made. He gives to us, for those who believe in him, he gives to us pure, perfect, righteous nature. We give to him our dirty laundry, effectively, right? But he pays for that. And he gives us his pure white robe, if you want to use that analogy, right? But basically sinlessness, right? And so that entry into heaven is secured. If the criteria is perfection, it's not ours, it's his, because he gave it to us, and we gave him our imperfection. He gave us his perfection, right? And that is what the basis of what we call the good news, the gospel, the good news of Christianity is. Okay. It's not because of what we are done or we can do, because we're powerless to do it. It's what he has done for us, right? And that just shows the love that he has for us. So it's not a distant God, a God who cannot be known or who cannot be understood, or we do not know whether he loves us or not, but actually he shows his love by becoming one of us, living it our life, and then going for us on the cross, right? That is an expression of God's love for us, right? So have you heard that before? Or
I haven't heard it explained fully like that before, but I think I've heard it kind of along them lines. That he died for our sins, of course.
Does that change anything, like to know that actually God is so personally involved with us that he actually historically came and to save us? Would that change anything? Would you want to know that God more?
I guess it doesn't really change anything for me. I'm very interested. I'm quite interested in all this stuff. I do like listening to it, but I've never really gone out of my way to kind of explore it more. If you get what I mean. I mean, I'm very open to a lot of this stuff. I'll listen all day long. And if you can convince me that there's a God out there, then you can convince me. But it doesn't really change anything for me. You know, I'm not really going to be going into church next Sunday or anything like that. But like I say, I'm very open.
And this is the thing. I mean, I don't think God wants you in the church, right? He doesn't want you to do religious things. He doesn't want you to, light candles and spend your time in those kinds of things. But what he does want is your soul, right? He wants to have a relationship with you. Just imagine that, right? I don't know if you have a girlfriend or a wife or whatever it is, but what do you really want from your partner? Do you really want gifts? Do you really want I don't know, some sort of some sort of tokens and stuff like? No, you want them, right? Or even, I don't know if that makes any sense, but like your parents or someone you love, your brother or sister, right? You really value them as a person, right? And so that's what meaningful connection. There you go. And I think that's what God wants from us first and foremost, is a meaningful connection, a relationship, right? Other things, they can come. They're expressions, the expressions of love, expressions of honor and reverence, and there's prayer, and he answers those, and there's hope, and there's joy, and there's community, as you said. All of those things kind of proceed from things, but if you don't have a relationship, none of those things are going to have any worth, value, or any meaning from that, right? They're just going to be motions you're going to be going through, right? But to know, let's say you could know your maker, your creator, and he could make himself known to you, your life would take on a different meaning entirely. You would have a purpose. You would know where your life is going. You would know what it's worth to live for. You would have the kind of foundation and the kind of hope that is very rare these days, right? People look for identity. People look for, like, who am I? What am I supposed to do in this life? What am I supposed to, like, grow up and find a job and work 9 to 5? Or what else am I here to do, right? People ask that question constantly. They get different answers, and they find disappointment later in life, right? Because nothing fulfills. It's about fulfillment, who we are as people, right? And you don't get that hole in your heart fulfilled through money, through power, through fame, through any of those things, right? But I think it does come from being fulfilled by someone who is actually knows us better than we know ourselves. Is what I would say. That was my experience as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't really know about that. I don't know. I mean, yeah, like you say, it gives people meaning.
Yeah.
Gives people a guide in life. But I've never really had that guide, the religious guide in life. So it could change my life completely. It could make me a completely different person, or it could make me, or I could be exactly the same religious. I wouldn't know. But I've never really tried to have a real connection with a higher power. So I wouldn't even know where to start, if I'm being honest with you, mate.
How would you start any relationship, right? You start with just turning to the person. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe someday soon. You might want to just, before you go to sleep, just say, "Hey God, I'm here, and you know what? If you are there, can you make yourself known to me? Can you tell me? Give me a sign. Can you make me want to know you? Can we start this up? How do I go about this?" I think prayer, talking, right, is a good way to start relationships, right? And I think that doesn't change with God. I don't think so, right? And I think a lot of the things He has told us already in the Bible. I would encourage anyone who's interested to know who God is, what He's like. Just read about Him, right? If He's written a letter, if people have known Him and met Him and walked with Jesus and had discussions with Him, and He said something to us, well, let's read about Him. Let's see what He was like. What has He got to say? Is He an interesting person? Is it someone worth following? That would be another good place to start, right? Like I said, I mean, if you don't think about it, well, the baggage, leave the baggage alone. Don't think about this is going to take my time up. I'm going to go to church. What I have to do now? I have to, I don't know, provide an offering to someone, money or my time. Just think about it. Look, is this Almighty? Is He worth following? And can I get to know Him? Can I get to really have a relationship with Him? I'm here to enrich my life. I'm here to give purpose and meaning to my life. God, if You're there, please give me purpose. Please give me meaning. That's a start. Everything else will follow from there.
It's just prayer and reading the Bible then.
Prayer and reading the Bible to start with, yeah, and doesn't take a lot of time, but it pays dividends, is what I would say. Yeah.
Well, you never know. I might go pick up a Bible tomorrow, mate.
Please do. And you don't have to. You can have it on the phone. There's apps and other things, And I would, if you're looking for a place to start, and my humble suggestion would be Gospel of John.
The Gospel of John.
Gospel of John. He writes very simple language. It's almost like a person comes from a simple background, but writes to people's hearts, right? Just like hearing a brother, hearing someone on the street say something that's meaningful, something that he has experienced that he wants to share with others. And that would be my recommendation to start with. Yeah.
Gospel of John.
Gospel of John. Start there and then see how things go.
I'll remember it.
Right.
If I ever have a bad day, Gospel of John, that's who I'm going to be talking
bad
to.
day, or even if you have a good day, you want to thank someone, thank God for a good day that you've had, thank Him for the blessings, thank Him. We often sort of turn to Him in bad times. We should turn to Him in good times, just to say thanks. It's a beautiful day that we are enjoying today. the fact that we're not in pain, we're not suffering. There's so much suffering in the world. Right now, we can enjoy it, and it's not raining. It's nice, pleasant. It's something to give thanks, right? Something to give thanks as well. I think he loves people coming to him to give thanks as well. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, you've been very patient with me.
No, it's been nice.
I really appreciate it, and I hope I didn't. My objective is not to burden you or to.
No, it's open my eyes a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, just
taught
to
me a little
encourage
bit
you.
more about
Yeah.
religion.
Yeah, just to encourage you. I think it's worth it, and something that changes people's lives. Change mine.
No, it does.
Change
It changes
mine.
a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
You never know. It might change mine one day.
Absolutely. That'll be my prayer for you as well. Yeah. Thank you.